Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the FAU podcast for and by fans. I am Dan. I am joined with Jack and Shane as usual. And tonight we are going to recap, celebrate, and go over the Western Kentucky homecoming win and look forward to a dreaded Thursday night game against UNT this week. So I guess to get started, really, nothing. This game was kind of, I think, what we all expected it to be. It wasn't really close at all. Yeah, I guess the score was 10-9 at half, but FAU really dominated the game, and had it not been for some stupid penalties and some mistakes, the game would have been even more blowout than it was. But pretty uneventful game. Nice to see the guys go out and take care of business. We'll dig a little deeper into the Chris Robison versus DeAndre Johnson thing. That was my kind of overall impression. Not really an exciting game. Ho-hum. Motor gets a couple touchdowns. Kareth Weiss gets a couple touchdowns, and then we're off to North Texas this week. But Shane, what were your thoughts about that Western Kentucky game?
I think it just kind of spells out that we are the team we are. They still have all the components, but they just don't do the little things. They haven't done it all year. Last year, that game is 55-14.
Yeah.
This year it's 35-15. 4 red zone possessions in the first 4 drives, 10 points. Missed field goal. There was the cut block penalty, which I went back and read the rule on, called on Motor, which for those that don't know, and I didn't even know this, that once the ball leaves the tackle box, no more cut blocking. So, I thought Motor probably thought he was well within the rules, not blocking beyond the line of scrimmage. Touchdown gets called back. The turnover before half, all these little negative things. But, I remember right before kind of the fumble before half, FAU, they finished the first half with just under 275 yards of total offense, and that was after kind of the fumble. They lost 20 yards on the play. I mean, they were on pace and almost finished this game with near 600 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane rotating quarterbacks. Again, like we've said all year, it's just the clean up little things, and it doesn't seem like those things are really going to get fixed this year. It just seems they are who they are. They're not going to get major kicking improvements. The quarterbacks are still young. But each week, we see what we thought we were going to see all year. The big runs at the end of the game. Kareth White broke it open. The defense played great. They were on the field most of the second half. They were out there a long time, and I thought a couple penalties didn't go their way. They gave up a couple big plays. The first long run of the game,
Which was a hold. That was a hold. It was either the linebacker.
I thought it was interesting though. Rashad Smith was out on that play too.
Yeah.
So, and I actually think so. Like, it was a weird. I remember looking and I looked up and I'm like, man, it was like Jose Barnwell and another linebacker, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of a weird combination. And then it just bust open. Jose Barnwell did play a lot in the game. I don't know if Rashad Smith was blown up or they were just trying to mix him in more. But, again, you just kind of said it was oh-hum. And I agree with that.
I definitely get that same vibe. Another thing I want to throw in there is that Leroy ended up playing a lot. Leroy, I'm not sure if we redshirted him last year. No, we didn't.
He played a lot on special teams. And he's going to be very good.
Naturally, just a massive dude. So, we didn't have to redshirt him because he was already so massive, so big in his arms and everything. He got a lot of playing time. He was great in tackles. Also, the drive where we had DeAndre Johnson touchdown called back, that was a 17-play drive before DeAndre's interception.
It really wasn't his fault. He got blown up on the backside.
Yeah. The blocking on the left side was pretty rough all day long. It's something that Lane addressed in the post-game conference and in the teleconference on Sunday. Who was it? Reggie. It was Bain, wasn't it? Yeah, Reggie had a pretty rough day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's been a little bit of struggles to Reggie this year. I don't think he's been as dominant as years past. I don't know if that's the line or they're singling up more. There's some really good edge rushers in this conference, but this is actually the worst pass blocking game all season for us, which is a little concerning.
3 sacks all day. We've done a good job of not giving up sacks all year long. We had 3 there. A lot of QB hurries, some scrambles. But I wanted to go back to that drive. I really was impressed by that 17-play drive with DeAndre, and we had a penalty at some point in there too, except for the motor blocking below the waist. Interception, but I just love those long, sustained drives where you just wear down the defense, especially defense that has struggled like WKU. When you get them in 3rd and long situations, convert to 3rd and long. You get it in 4th and short, you go for it. Western thinks it has a shot, turn the ball over, you convert. It's just emotionally deflating drives. That I was really impressed with.
Those are great drives to put a game away, but I kind of disagree.
For the middle of the game.
I think the laws of physics say in the 17-play drive something's going to go wrong.
Right.
So
Right,
I mean,
look at the interception.
especially when you're an offense that depends on 5 to 6 yards of carry. When DeAndre's in there, that's what you are. You're hoping for the big run, but when they're stacking the box, you're just hoping to get, just keep it moving and get the small chunk plays. And something went wrong. They had a 15-yard, below the block penalty on a touchdown, and then all of a sudden the drive is done.
Yeah, I think that's
a shotgun, and he dropped back. I think Walty pointed out in the forum, wait and Rick did. As soon as someone prepared for him, and they loaded the box, and it was tough. He did have a couple completions, and they were not looking to throw the ball down the field, as opposed to Robinson, who went 17 of 21 and didn't had the one fumble, but other than that, he was really efficient.
That beautiful throw to Pico, by the way.
Yeah, well, you know what? I thought the more impressive throw was the first Pico catch. I kind of saw the play develop. It was people ask what Weiss brings to the offense. It's very basic, I guess, NFL route combo. They had Durant run a long post down the middle, and Pico runs a backside, post across the field. The safety in the corner run with Durant, and he's running across the field wide open. So, he's supposed to stare down and get that safety to run with Durant long. Yeah. And, he had Pico on the backside, wide open. So, that was a good job by Chris. Obviously, the throw to Pico, the long one down the sideline, was another great throw.
Yep.
He makes these throws that I thought on the first drive that we scored, the first 4th down we went for, where he hit Durant on the slant.
Yeah.
That was tight coverage, and that was a great throw. Right. I remember saying to myself, argue with someone in my section, saying, "Oh, Andre should be in there," and he completes that, and I turned around and I said, "Well, that throw is why Chris Robinson's in the game."
Yep.
I think it was definitely a matchup thing. I think last week against FIU, Lane clearly felt it, and it was pretty obvious that we had a better chance running the ball, and really a positive running the ball advantage. That's what I was looking for. An advantage running the ball over against FIU, and then adding DeAndre in there really just emphasized that. And I think this game was certainly going to be more pass heavy. Even DeAndre, he had a couple passes, and you could see the screen pass he threw. He completed it, but he certainly doesn't have the same zip. Certainly, if blood clots, probably. I'm not sure how much of an impact it had on his strength, but he certainly doesn't have the arm strength that Robison does. So he certainly led a good drive, which I think maybe now we can be a little bit more comfortable should we need to. Right. But yeah, this was definitely, I think, more of a matchup thing where Robison, we're going to throw the ball around a little bit more, and Robison was definitely the clear choice in that regard anyway.
And one thing I'm really confused about when it comes with Chris is that we can dominate on the first drive, and then we just cannot finish in the next few drives after that. We just can't finish them.
Just little mistakes, like Shane said earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's
a lot of missed field goal kicks, so we definitely miss Greg Joseph, but it's just frustrating that we can't find ways.
How many kicks has Rivas missed from 29 and 30 yards?
He's a freshman kicker, and actually in the middle of the season before the Marshall game, he wasn't that bad compared to you look around the country and you look at a lot of kickers, and there's a lot of 11 for 18s out there in college football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just kind of that 65%. And, we kind of talked about this. People jump on kickers too much, and people don't realize how many other factors there are in the college game with so many players. The Dolphins kicker this year has been great. He's only missed one. Field goal. Made pretty much every kick they've asked him to. He went 65% his senior year in college. Now, in college, in the NFL, you have a professional long snapper, a guy that all he does is hold. You know what I mean? Our holder's Stoshak, a safety.
Yeah.
It's big Stoshak.
It's, you know what I mean? The blocking typically isn't as, granted, he's been inconsistent. I mean, that first miss sounded like I was hitting one out of the sand. I mean, you could it was thud, and the ball was just spinning backwards and landed short. I mean, but who knows? That could have been a hold. Like,
so still out. Yeah, we don't know.
And you can blame the special teams coach all you want. You can't draw kicking. Saban's it's killed Saban for years.
Yeah, he couldn't even figure it
They
out.
probably have 97 special team analysts. And you just can't drop kicking. I mean, it's like a golf shot. So, I mean, you kind of get what you get with that. But
right, and that will prove with time. Like you said, he's a freshman. It's just frustrating that we were able to get into the red zone. We can't get anything to go along with it. And the second quarter, I'm in the press box, guys. I'm like falling asleep. I'm yawning left and right because we couldn't do squat. We lost that quarter 0-9. Western scored. What was it? The touchdown. Then they had the extra point blocked, and then they had a field goal right before halftime.
I think the problem is in the red zone is the offense is great when it's moving, but in the red zone things slow down.
And the field shrinks a little. I mean, there's less that we can do.
The defense can't respect the wide receivers as much as they should. They have to play a little more bump, which means we can't really do the screens like we can. Quick screens.
I don't think it's that. I think Durant's kind of a straight line receiver. You don't really have kind of that like matchup receiver. They kind of, God, I would love to maybe just see a fade to Bryant. I don't know.
We don't have
He's got some size.
I've always hated that play. I think it's one of the worst plays I guess in the matchups there, just because we've been so bad. But I tell you why I hate the fade. The throw needs to be perfect, and you're asking to win a matchup, have a perfect throw, and then probably come down in the red zone, getting feet in, maintaining possession, while the corner's there. I read a whole article on how it's the most overused play in all of football, especially the NFL, but it's just safe. That's why people don't use it. So they determine that running it up the gut with your running back you're more likely to score than running a fade to your tall receiver. Right. Just because how many little things have to go right.
Yeah, you need to get the timing right. Receiver needs to know when to turn around. It's got to get the perfect jump. And I just don't feel confident any of our receivers winning a jump ball right now. We don't have Caleb Woods or Cameron Solomon who can just, climb over, a 5-10 corner and win the ball when he needs to. So.
Yeah, I mean, they tried different looks. I mean, they showed an I formation look
Yeah.
with DeAndre. And, they're trying stuff in the red zone. I noticed 2 of the red zone plays we didn't score on were obviously like design red zone plays. They put, something they put in for this situation. One was kind of a sprint out, and they were trying to throw backside, but Western Kentucky ended up just covering it really well. And then the DeAndre play was, you had the penalty. So
yeah.
So I mean, take those things away, we win much comfortably than what we did. An onside kick probably doesn't happen. So on and so forth.
Oh man, that was you will never get that bounce again. No, I thought the receiver, they had Willie Wright out there, and he was kind of felt like he was in between the ball. Like, if I go get this, it's going to go over my head, but if I wait on it, and that took just the perfect bounce. The kicker will never be able to do that again in his life.
Right, and then, a little boot to the left. It was well executed by Western. Got to give him props.
And one other thing, you kind of mentioned formations. I think this game was the first game that all year I think we've ever seen where both Motor and Kareth were in the backfield at the same time. That was that was a pretty cool look. And obviously it was successful. So I wonder if that's
you know what it shows though. It's people see this, but there's certain times where there's coaches constantly trying to. Or a square peg in a round hole, and Lane's always kind of adjusting and tinkering and doing what's best, and sometimes it might all look the same to us, but we don't notice those things, like those red zone plays that were put in we haven't seen before. The offensive genius that is Lane is still always constantly working, and you could see that throughout. Poor receiver play, probably not as good as O-line. There's still I'm sorry I forgot the name and I can't properly source it. The writer for the UP pointed out that FAU is like 5th in the nation or so 8th in the nation in first downs per drive.
Waji's his name?
Yeah. I want to cite him correctly, but that we're averaging it was like 1.98 first downs per drive. I mean, so this team doesn't go 3 and out.
Yeah.
We might not be finishing the drives how we like, but I mean, as much complaining as disappointing everyone feels this year, I mean, the offense in a lot of ways statistically is still good. We've just had a couple.
Oh yeah.
We've had just a couple really bad halves, and a game where our starting quarterback didn't play. I mean, you change that and factor in a tough schedule. It's kind of are we are.
Marshall, just go through the season real quick. Marshall, I'm willing to blame that on really on field position more than anything. Yeah, field position, injuries, off day, away game. Louisiana Tech, those 2 special team penalties. Obviously
not having your starting quarterback there.
Let's just play not having your starting quarterback.
Well, I feel like
not having your anyone play. You beat Louisiana Tech that game. They're one of the most unimpressive. That's really the only loss I'm mad about. And you played a terrible half of football at Middle Tennessee. I'm not even get mad about the Marshall game. They stunk up the joint that day. I'm not. Yes. So let's just the 2 games. You flip that, and if we were 7-3 right now, it'd be like,
dude,
okay, we're not.
We're playing this game to play UAB in the conference championship game. If those 2 things don't happen, but c'est la vie. Here we are. We're hoping that FAU doesn't make it.
And where we are is playing on 4 days rest, going to North Texas, playing a game that's West Coast NBA tip time.
This is NBA Finals, freaking.
Parlay Sacramento, Portland with that game. They said this week it's kind of ridiculous as the team probably won't be getting back to FAU till 2-3 in the morning, and then the kids have to go to school the next day.
Ridiculous.
They probably didn't dress. For those that know, what happens is it's probably during the bye week. The coaches did a lot of prep for this game in between recruiting, depending on how long you want to balance it. So the coaches probably did a lot of prep for it. North Texas seems to. I know there's been a lot of talk with them. They beat Arkansas, who's terrible.
Yeah.
But they kind of seem to play to their competition this year.
Yes.
I know people are going to point to Old Dominion coming back 28 points on them this week, but, man, I really hate playing teams after they lost a game they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. They're a much better team than they were. They're only letting up 3.14 yards a carry this year. I don't like anything about this matchup. Our defense has been good and kind of gone back to where it was last year. The bend don't break. Give up a lot of first downs. Mason finds a guy who's just not going to turn it over this year and kind of just 6 yards you to death.
And he's not going to miss his throws like Stephen Duncan of Western Kentucky did.
Yes.
I mean, I think even Rick mentioned it. If Western Kentucky had a quarterback that was halfway as competent as Mike White was or Brennan Dowdy was, then that would be a dogfight. That's a one-possession game, basically, last week against Western. So we'll see. Again, Mason Fine, he's not going to miss those passes, man. It's going to be tough. I know North Texas has this game circled for a long time, dude, with how we treated them the past 2 times we met them.
I think that's so overblown.
I don't know. I mean,
that is such like
you're probably not wrong.
That's like 3:30 drive home sports radio. They just lost by 28 points. They just had a 28-point comeback against Old Dominion. I think yes, they're probably talking about what we did to them last year, and it's just a cliche thing to say, but yeah, I think they're kind of a different team, and playing them this late in this season, so much has changed. They know we're not the same team we were last year.
Right.
So I think that kind of takes some of it. If we were rolling into this game at 9-1, maybe, but I don't know. I think some of those sports cliches are they're probably, I don't think there's so much, especially in a short week. They're not thinking about that. They're looking at going, we just
blew
a 1-win team come back at us at home, and they haven't played that great at home either.
Right now, they lost to Louisiana Tech at home by 2.
Yeah.
Remember that game against UTEP? They were really struggling against UTEP in El Paso. They beat Southern Miss at home. I don't remember if that was close or not. Lost to UAB on the road, home against Rice, but Rice was in that game for the majority of it, and then they traveled to Norfolk and choked against the Monarchs, a really bad Monarchs team.
Was that so that was in North, that was at Old Dominion?
Yeah, that was a road game for them.
Okay, so my bad, I was confused. But
no, it's right. So we'll see. I mean, they're going to play pissed no matter what. If they're thinking about last week or last season or not, they're going to be pissed based upon last week's game against Old Dominion. They're going to be looking for something to prove. We'll see. I'm with you guys. I don't think we match up well, especially with all the injuries and the defensive side of the ball.
Did we get reports on that? I didn't see. I know a lot of guys were kind of limped off. College doesn't really put out tons of injuries. I didn't. I mean, Rashad came back in the game.
Right.
So
Rashad, you had Soro got hurt for a little bit too again.
Yeah.
Banged up. I'm trying to go through my notes real quick, so pardon me. We had a lineman go out as well.
Antonio Rouse came back, though, but they've been mixing Weber in anyways.
Right.
I think we'll kind of know. I mean, also, I'm not going to – if we go out there and play crappy, I'm not going to I'm not taking anything away from this game.
No, Thursday night games, I think I've always been weary of Thursday night games. Crazy things happen on them. I feel like the team that's not supposed to win always ends up winning. I think that the odds are more stacked up against us. It's
the road team on a Thursday. I mean, you're going into this game blindish almost.
Right.
You have no time to prepare. They probably didn't have one dress practice this week. They did a walkthrough today.
Yeah.
They're going to travel tomorrow. So, they'll do like another walkthrough in a hotel.
Yeah.
Like conference room tomorrow. You know what I mean? So
I hate Thursday night games, and then the time change as well. Not the moving from Eastern to Central, but time change as far as the game goes. That the schedule is off. I think that you get people thinking about other things. They may be worried. Like Lane said, they could be thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be so tired in class tomorrow." I think those type of things. They're little things, but they can take focus away. And
they're not professionals. So honestly, if we go out there and lose this thing 34-7, I'm gonna take zero of it into what I think.
You can't really read anything out of that. So.
And honestly, it doesn't matter. Like you beat Charlotte at the end of the year. Bulls are the way conference you would say Bulls are set up. Southern Miss was 6-6 and got a better bowl matchup than we did, who was the most dominating team in conference history last year.
Right.
So, they got to play Florida State. So it literally means nothing in this conference, whether we finish 6-6 or 7-5.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be better if we win 7-5. Let's just take care of business on Thursday. I mean, who knows what happens?
No, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about, you do this, you win at home at Charlotte, maybe you win a bowl game, and all of a sudden you have 8 wins on the season, and it's like, okay, that really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. And then you get the extra practice time in December.
Yeah.
For younger players and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And that'd be good. I mean, who knows? We'll win or lose. Let's say we lose. Hypothetical. Say we lose in Denton. Let's see how we feel after FIU plays Charlotte up in North Carolina on Saturday. It's like, do we – I mean, I know you guys are going to want FIU to lose. That way, then Middle will have the upper hand on winning the East. But then that means, listen, Charlotte's going to be the real deal. They're not going to be any pushover.
I think we beat this team. I think we're too good at home.
Yeah, we're lucky that we have it in Boca. That's for sure. So who knows? If we take care of business, we're bowl eligible guys. Did any of y'all think we'd be bowl eligible or have a shot of bowl eligibility 2 weeks ago? Honestly, we were doom and gloom. We might have thought, maybe there's a chance, but we wouldn't bet money on it. No way. After the Louisiana,
I would have put money on it.
You guys are smart. You know that?
I wouldn't put a lot of money on it, but I would have put money.
Yeah, it's. Like I said, everything was just read too much into the year. I mean, it was just not.
The start of the year that we had with the hype and everything, I think was derailed.
Yeah.
We'll save that conversation for an end of the year show.
There was people, who would have sold their soul 2 years ago for where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's about 3 of us right here.
Yeah,
We'll dig into that, I think, a little bit later.
Yeah,
we'll have a reflective.
We can talk about bowls reviews of the season, but God, 2 years of Lane, if you have 11-3 and 7-5 and a couple bowl games, is anyone really complaining?
Yeah, for sure.
And a 4-star quarterback. A lot of people really like that you're going to have the next 3 years to kind of. Lead your team. So,
yeah, for sure. So that about wraps it up football wise, but we wanted to give a special shout out to the FAU men's basketball team.
Let's go
for knocking off UCF. So,
wow, dude, Lipichev, man. I mean, I would commit so many NCAA violations for that putback he did, catching Michael Forrest's jumper with the second left and putting it back. What a game, man. We didn't really see that one coming. Taco Fall was basically a non-factor. I thought we were going to get dominated in the paint. We won the rebounding battle. Who saw that coming? Even when Ingram got fouled out late in the game, we did well. Anthony Adger, dude, I mean, he's putting up points like it's going out of style, which is so much fun to see from a point guard. He led the team in points again. Davian Stapleton, one of the new guys, double-double, 14 points, 10 rebounds. Michael Forrest, who, tried to hit that jumper late in the game for the go-ahead score, still struggling a little bit, but you can see the raw talents there, man. He can pass the ball with the best of them. Would love to see him a little more in the number 1 spot instead of number 2. And he's been kind of rotating between both of those. So either way, dude, huge win for Dusty May. Huge win for the program. Biggest win for the program since, I would say, the Ohio State win a couple years ago when Nick Rutherford, called bank.
Yeah.
In overtime up in Columbus. That was a couple years ago. But, that was a wasted season, man, because we couldn't do anything with that once we hit conference tournament time. We'll see how we do once we hit conference play, or even for the remainder of out-of-conference play. We got Florida Gulf Coast coming up, Towson or Pepperdine, some tough games, a couple Power 5 games as well with some major programs. So we'll see. Conference USA is looking really good this year. Hopefully we'll finally become a 2-bid league again. I think we're pretty overdue. But if FAU take care of its own, I think other dominoes will fall in place with Western Kentucky, Middle, Marshall. The line goes on and on. Southern Miss is playing great basketball right now. We'll see what happens. It will definitely help the case for making Conference USA a 2-bid league once again.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So great win. What did you guys think about the win over UCF, who was preseason favorites to win the American? Any 2 cents real quick?
I think it's one, obviously it's fun to beat someone in state, and I think there's definitely a different energy. I'm not a huge college basketball fan, but I was there during the NIT year, and it was some of the most fun I had at any FAU sporting events ever. That kind of series of conference games when we won 20 games that year. I mean, I remember it was just a blast. We had the ESPN game against Arkansas Little Rock.
Yes, dude. It was like a Saturday, like at 11 a.m.
Yeah, it was just like it was the most fun 2 months of FAU sports, and I think with Dusty Mate's going to kind of bring that back. So definitely go to FAU basketball games. That arena, it isn't that big. It holds 3,000 people.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little place when they're doing well. And college basketball is easy. You get games are 2 hours. You're in and out. It's comfortable.
Exactly. It's cheap entertainment.
Yeah, so
2 hours.
I'll definitely be making a few more basketball games than I have in the past. It's and it's just fun. And we talked about a little bit last week. You see, more and more FE sports teams performing well.
That's
So
right.
I know everything's so football centric, but the smaller sports matter too when you're building a program, and especially when you're building a fan base, because I know we talk about attendance a lot, which I thought, let's just bring it up. I thought this week, with respect to, was absolutely dreadful. I think 14,000 for homecoming was just disappointing. But, when these teams do well, these kids are more likely to come back.
Yeah.
And, be involved at the school. So,
Yeah, exactly.
it's a very big picture thought, but, you saw some of the 2007 or 2008, Motor City Bowl guys back around this week. And
yeah, that was cool. You saw Rusty. They interviewed Rusty.
you could hopefully they're honoring more teams like that when you're bringing, your so-and-so year girls volleyball team, or, this men's basketball team, and you can do more of those things. Anyone who's ever been to a Gators game, a quarter doesn't go by where they're not honoring
The golf
a group
team.
of 15 people for one team 1 year or another, and all different across different decades, and you do that, and those little things kind of add on, and that's really how you grow a fan base. Not so much, I think, through billboards or radio ads. It's people being part of the university, which separates college sports. So,
And look what I think that's something that UCF and USF have done better than us, is that they have a following for basketball, for baseball, for softball, for volleyball. Everyone that's there, that's a fan for the most part, has season tickets to all the major sports, soccer as well, and goes out and support. And then during each little TV timeout, like you said at UF, they'll say, all right, here comes the men's golf team conference champions from 1999, and everyone's giving a standing ovation. You do that at FAU, most people say, we have a men's golf team. We have a volleyball team.
But it's just bringing those people back and making them feel involved with the university.
Exactly, but that will build that culture. That pride will come eventually.
So that's why it's good. I know it's way long term, but it's good to see some of these sports winning. Like volleyball and women's soccer and stuff. It's why that's so important. It's how you build a community around a school.
And it's going to be a big weekend because the volleyball team does enter the Conference USA tournament as the number 4 seed, which will begin this weekend. So, the North Texas game with football, women's volleyball. You got a basketball game coming up this weekend as well. We're going to have to keep a close eye on FIU Charlotte on Saturday. So,
and this was a debate on the board real quick. This is the week we should be playing FIU.
Yeah.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do it end of the season. Do it before the Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, that game's going to have 7 people at it, the Charlotte game, regardless of what's on the line. I mean, people aren't there. Everyone's sitting on their brother-in-law's couch, not wanting to be there. So it's do the FIU game this weekend. Everywhere else around, what do you think? UCF has game day this week. It's for the SEC. It's play FCS school weekend,
cupcake weekend,
and the ACC. Nobody's playing anybody, so be creative in how you get your spotlight on your conference.
Good call.
So,
this could be the weekend we could slide it in because that way no one can really say, "Oh, I wanted to go to the."
This was the week. This was the weekend it was on last year, and we had 26,000. We filled 85-90% of the stadium.
The numbers, great atmosphere. I mean, it was so lit. The students were put on tailgating probation afterwards.
Yeah, but they tailgate now, and a third of them walk in the game. So,
but so hopefully next week we are, we'll be celebrating bowl eligibility, and we'll go from there. But good game against Western Kentucky, and then we will see everybody next week after North Texas. So for Jack and Shane, I've been Dan. Thanks for joining along with us, and go Owls.